Vanessa is our guest today. She lived a life of anxiety, alcohol, and serious health issues. Following her latest relapse, her life spiraled out of control, with drugs taking a hold of her life. That relapse spun her out of control for over 3 years until life changed. Hang around to hear her story and what tools she used to get on that successful road to victory. We'll be right back after this. Hey, welcome to the Recovery 180 podcast. And today I have a special guest from way up north. It's Vanessa. So, welcome on board, Vanessa.
Hi, thank you.
So, whereabouts up north would you be hiding?
Yeah, so I am close to the border between Alberta and British Columbia, way up north in a little town called Dawson Creek.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
you're torn between being an Edmonton Oilers fan and a Vancouver Canucks fan, right?
I really am. I really am. Go Edmonton.
Yeah, there you go. So, let's start off. Just tell me a little bit about where you grew up. I don't know if you grew up there or not, but just a little bit about what it was like to be a kid growing up and what was life for you when you got started.
Yeah, so thanks so much for having me, Glenn. I think
Yeah.
that's awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I grew up in a little town. Well, I guess it's a little bigger than here, but in Prince George, northern BC.
Hmm.
Um, And I was the oldest of three kids initially. And I was quite spoiled to say the least.
Oh.
I was just the treasure of and being the first and the first girl and all this stuff. So I kind of had like that going for me at a very young age. Yeah, so it was a good time. I had and I had two younger brothers that followed me. I had two younger cousins, both girls, and so the five of us really were really close growing up.
Hmm.
And I've only got one aunt, and my dad is an only child, and so very small, and we just stayed close to my grandparents, who I love and treasure and cherish, and may they rest in peace. And yeah, so.
So how was your school years as you're getting into your teens or whatever? Did it start off kind of bumpy? Did you fit in really well, or how was school for you?
Yeah, school was always a struggle. Right from birth, also, I forgot to mention is that I was born quite sick.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not quite sure exactly where it comes from, but I was just born very, very sick. And like physically, around like food and intolerances and all kinds of things like this.
Hmm.
And I couldn't hold my food down. And so I was often like the smallest of everybody. Um, and so when I started school, that's where I mean, it was kind of filtered through, but not really. I was put into a Catholic school, and
Hmm.
so we wore uniforms, and I went there until about grade four. And I just could not catch on. I did not have the comprehension of other kids, and I suffered with a lot of anxiety,
Hmm.
and I got teased for how small I was. So these were all huge factors into going into my teens. I never really fully grasped onto a lot of things with my comprehension, and I couldn't verbalize that. I couldn't say what was going on. And I had some dysfunction going on at home. And so all through all of these years, I also moved around quite a bit. My mom met my stepdad, who we ended up blending a family and then becoming a family of six. But I just really suffered with school throughout all of those years. And then I went from a private school to a public school, and that was like a culture shock.
Hmm.
And so that was another discourse
Like
that I had
more difficult or less difficult?
more difficult because I'm in this kind of bubble and not understanding that there was like a whole nother world out there. And so around like grade four is when they pull me out in the middle of a school year, and I just remember being like, "What? I can wear my play clothes
Hmm. Hmm.
to school?" I just couldn't understand that, and t kids would make fun of me because my play clothes was different than like I just didn't understand like normal. We just wear everyday clothes, and
Yeah.
so these were points of like a lot of yeah, I just got teased a lot. Yeah.
So that adjustment then, along with your problems with the food and being smaller and all that stuff, you said you
Mhm.
felt that created some severe anxiety in you?
It really did.
And so
It really
how
did.
did you deal with your anxiety, or were there people there that were there to help you, or is this something that you had to kind of suck up on your own?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like first I didn't know what it was because I feel like around that time, anxiety was like that term and that word, anxiety was just so foreign.
Hmm.
And so I started coping with things like it came out in some of my physical aspects as well. I mean, like I would get very dry, peeling skin. My mom would take me to the doctor, be like, "What's going on with her?" And it's just peeling skin, and
Hmm.
on my hands, and like and kids would make fun of me, and I would just be like, "Ow, my hands hurt,"
Yeah, yeah.
and the doctor said, "Oh, I think that's stress," and then also like I had like hair pulling issues where like I would cope with like pulling my hair.
Mm,
And I can't recall when it even started because I think it was just such a high volume of stress going on in my home life that I can't pinpoint it. But I will not forget the time that I came out of my room and my mom was like she gasped because like I had no eyelashes, they were gone.
mm.
And so like just this stress and I didn't understand a darn thing.
So you had plucked your eyelashes out?
Yep, and chunks of my hair and this kind of thing. Just, I don't even know. It still doesn't make sense to me today.
Hmm.
But as like a coping thing, maybe grasping to control, maybe, there was so much chaos that I was like, where am the living and questioning God.
Hmm.
I had a
Hmm.
lot of question with God because why am I being taken from a Catholic school into the public school? That was
Yeah,
confusing, really
yeah.
confusing for me. Yeah.
Well, and you weren't at a good place in that move. You still hadn't found your way, right? And then so you're moving into this bigger school, and it's like all of a sudden you're getting you're loaded with more
Mm-hmm.
stress and probably more kids. And so did
Mm-hmm.
you get bullied, or how, or what was that like for you in
Yeah.
school?
Yeah, I definitely got teased and picked on, and people would notice like spots on my head maybe, or
Hmm.
that I didn't have normal features. And also with my academics, like other kids could keep up with their classes, but for some reason, I didn't really fall into a category of getting support with my academics, and I also didn't keep up with the other kids.
Hmm.
And so by the time I hit grade six, boy, oh boy, was I ever a class clown. Like, I really was. I started acting out in like sense of humor and teasing the teacher back. And, I'd have to go sit in the hallway or like do detention after school and stuff like that because I just acted out really.
So you found that that was a tool that worked for you and give you
Yeah.
some strength back, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And
It was
so,
definitely an attention
yeah,
that I wanted. I actually really wanted someone to like, hey, can you see me? I'm here. Like,
yeah,
can't you
yeah.
see I'm hurt? I'm struggling. Or can't you see I'm funny? Like, I
Hmm.
loved the attention from making people laugh. That really, um, yeah.
So was that something that you carried with you then next for the next few years, or
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I totally did. And throughout my teens, like throughout my high school years, I actually went into a treatment center as well. I had my first time in a wellness center, treatment center for teens. And then so I had all these other behaviors and tried to get the help. And so but it just wasn't, nothing was really sticking. I
hmm.
didn't really want the help, I think.
So
So I would just cover up with all kinds of things like getting kicked out of the classroom and sitting in the hallway and even into my 20s. I mean, like making people laugh has always been a thing for
hmm.
me. I've always enjoyed that
Well,
and I love stand up.
yeah, everybody loves hanging out with people that make them laugh, right? And
Right?
so you
Mm-hmm.
were willing to give up that punishment in the school
Mm-hmm.
to be able to get that acceptance. So you felt like you were being accepted by the rest of the school, rest of the kids, not the
Yeah,
teachers, but
not the teachers
but by
and
the kids.
I feel awful too. Like it's like, you go through that and you're like, wow, like can't believe I did that like to some of those teachers.
Yeah. Do you
I kind of
do you
feel,
ever cross paths with any of those teachers and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I acted like that," you
I
know?
know. I
Yeah.
wrote them on my amends list. Like I had to write that down.
So anyway, so
Yeah.
you pushed through, you joked your way through school and through high school, and you got out of high school then, finished it all
Yeah.
off, or
I ended up, I completed up to grade 12. I had to go back for an extra year because like, I was already kind of using substances and
Hmm.
to cover up and there was a lot of drinking and stuff like that throughout my teens. And I mean, like for my 16th birthday, it was a week-long party with my family. That was
Oh,
how
really?
we celebrated.
Mm.
And so I thought that that was okay. And so once I got to grade 12, I wasn't quite meeting the requirements. And so I went back and finished and I did get my grade 12 and I felt very proud of myself for that. It was one of the things where I was like, wow, I'm actually older than everybody and I have to do the right thing.
Mm.
And I wasn't using a whole lot of substances at that time. I really was like, I really want to do this.
So
I
do
wanted
you feel
something.
that that period of time then where you're drinking with your parents was maybe a springboard for you into thinking it's okay,
Mm,
and that was like a big beginning for you?
yeah,
It's cool because I did it with my parents and they're adults, and now I feel like I'm an adult.
yeah, absolutely, for
Yeah.
sure. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so was alcohol the biggest problem that you were using as a coping mechanism?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm,
It was the first thing that I remember being like, oh, and I'm allowed to do this.
mm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
and it was like it was almost like I think their approach was kind of like if we let them do it at home, maybe they won't do it everywhere else and maybe they'll learn how to do it safely,
mm,
And like I could see where their approach was they were trying to come, but like that's the thing. You take all of my siblings and which one of us has struggles
mm-hmm.
and we all kind of do.
Yeah,
We all
yeah,
kind of do.
yeah. And so it
So,
was because it was
yeah.
the opportunity was there, right?
Yeah.
So that became your coping mechanism
Yeah.
for
And
dealing
celebrating
with
was
your
a thing.
anxiety. So it helped with your anxiety, do you feel, or
Yes.
at the
Yes.
while you're drinking, I guess.
Yeah.
But it always
Yeah.
came back, right?
It always
And
came back.
so
Hmm.
how bad did it get for you, Vanessa?
The drinking?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the drinking got so bad. And then and I ended up having my children. I stayed clean and sober while I was pregnant. For the most part with my first three children. But I did struggle a lot in between, and it just got so bad. By the time I'm 29, I've got my three kids, and I'm in the worst place in my life,
Hmm,
and not just I couldn't leave the house. It was like I can't leave this house. I can't get out. I can't do anything. And I had attempted, and even in before it got so bad, I even tried so hard. I took my yoga teacher training, and that was like a huge piece of an awakening for me. I found another piece of spirituality in that, and even that wasn't enough for
hmm,
the disease. And when I couldn't keep up, I would just go right back. And it just felt like the weight of the world now having children and not looking at myself yet, not knowing what to do and all of that. Just the weight of that was on my shoulders,
hmm,
and so yeah, infidelity in my relationships and just a lot of chaos. I was
hmm,
the creator of the chaos because I couldn't sit with myself. Yeah, and not to mention the amount of money that was spent. Like the amount of money when I look back, I'm like, I could have bought a house with that.
hmm,
I could have
hmm.
bought there's so many things that I could have done with what
Well,
money I had at that
yeah.
time. And
And
ah,
and that's a very typical response from people in addiction, right?
yeah.
Lots of dollars and cents went by the wayside. So you
Hmm.
felt like you were trapped then. You were locked in this
Hmm.
lifestyle and you figured at that point there's no way to get out. Is
Oh
that
gosh,
you were
yeah.
thinking it was just a cycle?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was the crossroad that you hit that you got to a point where all of a sudden it's like, oh, there is an escape here, or there's a way out, or how did that come instantly? Was it somebody said something, or how did that all begin to happen where you start seeing some sunlight there on the other side of the
Mm.
door?
Yeah, the sunlight. Well, and even just hearing you say that just takes me back to that place, like it was so confusing and um I really, because of having been in that treatment center when I was like 16, there was some sort of pushback from me, but what happened is my partner at the time, he went into a center and he got himself better.
Mm, mhm,
And when he came home, I was not good. I was not good at all. And so he ended up having to take the kids. And he's
mm,
like, if you don't go into this center, then you can't have the kids.
mm,
And that was my first step into into I did a 30-day program and it had a detox as well. I needed the detox, the
mm,
stabilization period because like I had just my body was so used to everything that I was putting into it that I needed support with that.
mm.
And so they did that. I went in, and that was probably my second time. The first time he made me go to detox, I was not really ready for that. I left
Yeah.
after 24 hours.
So I was just curious. I was just curious, like when he hit you between the eyes with that idea that this is something you have to do, did that feel
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm glad, like deep inside you felt like, okay, this is good. Did you feel that was good or were you rebelling against it to some degree?
Yeah, both. So like I would like have a stash at home and then I was like, I'll go to detox.
Hmm.
Like it was just so confusing for me. But once that first time happened, then there was a point of me that was ready, that I was like, oh, I don't have to do this anymore.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
don't have to fight this anymore. I have to like hide and I can just go get better. And they were like making it easy for me. They were like, don't worry, we've got this.
Hmm.
Just go and we're paying for it and we're taking care of you. And don't worry, just go get yourself right. And I was like, wow, really? Um, yeah. And that's when I first got introduced to a 12-step program.
Hmm.
And that was when I remember sitting in my first meeting and I was in all black and I just like hid and I was like, oh, and it was a requirement. You needed to go. And I
Yeah.
just remember there was a room of 80 people or 90 people. I think actually 97 to 90 people in my first meeting. And it was LVNA. And I was just like, oh,
So
please don't look at
did they
me.
call you out to share?
They did.
Yeah,
They called me out to
I
go
know.
get my tag.
Oh.
And I was like, they were like, go get a tag. I was like, no. She was like, you got this. You
Hmm.
can do it. Go grab it. And I was like, oh gosh. I did
And
it. And I did
how
it.
did that feel, that community? Was that what you were
I-
finally looking for, the beginning of something special?
And that's the full circle moment. That
Hmm.
was it.
Hmm.
That was it for me. I was like, how can you guys love me? How? Because so many places couldn't. Like, it made no sense to me. And yeah, and it wasn't enough to keep me clean and sober that time. Like I still had gone back out after
Hmm.
that for 3 years, and that's where everything really burned to the ground. Like I was living in just abandoned houses or just really it was really bad.
Mm. Wow.
Without re-traumatizing myself, but like really awful.
Hmm.
And it was that first time that we just talked about, that was the time that brought me back because of that love and them being like, you got this, go ahead. It was that very day and that very moment.
So just I've been at a number of AA and L1 meetings and I've not been to NA meetings, but just in general, the
Hmm.
Alcohol Anonymous system, like how does that feel for you? How does that room feel for you when you walk into one of those rooms, one of those AA rooms or NA rooms?
Yeah, or NA, yeah. I feel like I feel like it's home for me.
Mm,
It's my safe place. It's the probably the one and only place that I feel truly loved and accepted for who and how I am.
mm.
And I feel like there's room to grow there. There's room to breathe there. I can make mistakes there, and people will help pick me back up, and they won't judge me. And the community that I have found is just such freedom.
Well, I was just that not judging. I think that's a huge part of AA is there's nobody in that room that's going to judge you because they've
Hmm.
all walked down that path. And so
Yeah.
how has that helped you with your sobriety then from that point on? Was that you got to a point then when you really started getting your feet on the ground?
Yeah, I really just had had enough and I just made the decision and there was no center that could take care of me because of my celiac disease.
Hmm.
Um there was no safe rehabilitation at that point. I was so sick. And so I just made the decision and having them even if I didn't trust, and this is really important for my recovery, this is something I say all the time, is that even if I didn't trust people, because there was a lot of things there that distrust in people,
Right.
and I didn't have that right away when I got to the rooms. Why would I have that? I don't. I'm
Hmm.
brand new. I don't know what's going on. And then I found that the literature, reading the books and like it doesn't lie. It can't lie. It's history. It's like written for me. And I remember just reading the book and being like, this is for me. They wrote this for me, which
Hmm.
opened the door to all the new relationships that I have in my life today.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's been working since the 30s,
Yeah,
and it's been, there's a
exactly.
lot of people that are lot of sober and clean people as a result of that. And so, yeah, that's really a cool story. So, um, curious about because this podcast, I have a lot of people on with really faith-based backgrounds. I'm just wondering,
Mm.
in your involvement with NA and NA, big part is the higher power, God. Where is God in your life? How did your higher power or your connection with God help you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so I think like having that and my grandmother was also Catholic, Métis,
Hmm.
and so like she would take us to the churches and stuff and so like I was baptized in the Catholic church.
Hmm.
And through the discourse I've learned also that I was Métis. And so that was also really awesome to learn that. And
Hmm.
so I have kind of and then in recovery I did a lot of I also went to a faith-based center at one point throughout all of that and so I do have a relationship with the God of my understanding
Hmm.
and I love the terminology higher power because for me it's like something of love. It's something of a loving power of a greater purpose that wants for me not to be sick and suffering all the time. And so I actually can find for myself personally I can fit into almost any religion that there is,
Hmm.
and so I find like a very spiritual approach in my personal life. And then it helps me to like connect to anybody, no matter who you are, where you come from. Uh, and because religion can divide.
Hmm.
And so for me, I don't have that in my life. And I just found this beautiful connection that way. Like yeah, and so I have a little bit of from doing my yoga teacher training, I've got like the little bit of the Buddhist practices. I have some of even the Muslim practices as well. And learning what Ramadan is and all of that. And then the Jewish faith, and then just Christianity, evangelism, all the different spots. And then also is the Mother Earth, God Creator, which
Hmm.
is in the indigenous, and focusing on the medicine wheel and how, when we take about, for me, when I take away all the things that have divided me and, and even in the Catholic faith, and I start putting it all together, I have this beautiful, beautiful thing that is
Hmm.
accepting and loving of anyone, anywhere. So that's kind of how and I have faith through that because it keeps me with and not alone. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I'm never alone.
yeah, and comforting to know that somebody's got this. Somebody greater than you has got this,
Yes, like
and
I'm
you,
always taken care of.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're not walking alone, and I think that's really cool. So tell us a
Mhm.
little bit as we're kind of winding down to the latter part here. Tell
Mhm.
us tell us where this is taking you. What you're doing
Mm.
now, and how you've applied this in your life.
Yeah, so I really just dove in head first for myself for the first 5 years of my recovery. And what opened the door that opened is something I couldn't have even imagined.
Hmm.
Not just do I have like material things in my life because I love my material things, I'm not gonna lie.
Don't we all? Don't we all? Don't we
I love
all?
my new car and I
Yeah,
love my
that's right.
home and I
Yeah.
love my family and all the things I have. I love that. But there's something to be said about this field of work and giving back and meeting people where they're at
Hmm.
and when they're struggling. And so for me, in the last probably 6 months or so, the door opened to working at the Northwind Wellness Center, which is an Indigenous wellness center up here in the north. And they have got a lot of things going on there, and they're blending with a lot of other. agencies in town. And
Mm.
so, they've got a whole new model, the Arch model, and that's going to have a component of it's the first of its kind in Canada. And so
Mm.
it's going to have the detox beds, the pre-treatment beds, the treatment beds, and then there's a living component,
Oh, wow.
and all the different agencies that have put together with this. So my place in there so far is working with the Junction BC. And so that is like a hub, a recovery community cafe or recovery community center that we do all kinds of programming and maybe not so much outreach, but a lot of programming to bring people in
Hmm.
so that they can access different kinds of services and not just 12 step. Our meetings are a little bit different there. It's more of an all pathways approach is what they call it. And so
Mm-hmm.
you can share everything what you've done for recovery in general. And we don't discriminate. And so like every single path, because everybody needs to hear that. Other people might not be aware and this kind of thing. So it's really been amazing to have that open because of like how I already am in certain areas of my life with that blending and the unity and of all things, and to do that at my work is just I couldn't even be more grateful.
Could you have ever imagined uh,
Yeah,
when you were in high school or anywhere along the line that you would one day end up doing this and giving back? Isn't that so rewarding?
it is so rewarding.
Yeah, and to see lives changed and stuff like that, just tremendous. And yeah, we were fortunate enough to take a recovery coaching course
Yes.
together online with a 16 other people, I guess, in British
Mhm.
Columbia, and so that was pretty exciting. So how was that course? How are you applying some of that to your everyday work?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, even just that course, I had a spiritual awakening because of just the way that it was taught to us and the open-mindedness of it. It's just truly a way of being in the world,
Mm,
and so like that whole recovery coaching aspect and like empowering people to be their best version, like what's right for you. I can't tell you. And even when someone say doesn't do what I think they should,
hmm hmm
right? Or the shoulds, right? There's just no room for that. So it's like just letting people be and go through and live and do and make and have your mistakes. Make the same one a couple times if you need to, right?
hmm
And just being alongside someone while they're going through that. That's what I've got from that recovery coaching is
hmm
a strategy and a way to like be with those people at their level. I say those people, that's not really, it's more just meeting people where they're at. I shouldn't say those people because I am those people. Yeah.
Wasn't it really interesting how they talked about Dr. Baker? They talked about the importance of recovery capital and especially community. And so, what does that mean for you to be part of a community of people that are in recovery, along that lines?
Yeah, it means absolutely everything because not only do I have that in my own personal life, but I find that I actually thrive in my own personal recovery, having all these different avenues now, seeing the world in a different way that it takes all these different pieces to build my own life. I just find that so rewarding for so many reasons. It's not just the spiritual way, it's not just exercise, it's not just diet, it's not
Mm,
just connection, it's not just self-development. It's like I need a little bit of everything
mm.
to fill my soul up. So, yeah.
So community is important. Don't isolate. Get out
Don't
to meet.
isolate.
Even starting off for somebody that, I mean, I'm going to leave you with the last few minutes to challenge people. But I mean, I guess I have this thought that, for people that are searching out recovery or considering recovery, even just going out to an AA meeting or an NA meeting and just sitting in and
Mhm.
and and getting that feel that there's people there that really care about you. So but anyways, I want to leave you with the last word. So I want
Oh.
you to reach out and maybe challenge some people out there that might be watching that maybe are
Mm.
really questioning where they're at with their addiction and what they should do next, what their next step should be, or how
Mm.
life is going to look. So go get them.
Well, that's really tough. That's a tough one. Yeah, I guess what would I say to someone? Let's see. So many things, I guess, and nothing at the same time. But it's just, you never have to do this alone.
Hmm.
You never have to go through building your life back alone. Some people
Right.
choose to do that, and that's something we also learned in that recovery coaching is, some people will choose to do that on their own. They just go ahead and they're just had enough and they make the change, and
Hmm.
that's great. If you can do that, that's wonderful. And then there's the other group that we can't do it alone.
Hmm. Hmm.
And, finding that courage and that strength through moments of prayer is so incredibly important. It was for me. And I think even just doing the thing without knowing what's going to happen and leaning into that discomfort and just really feel like getting comfortable with just being uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what recovery is, especially for the first 2 years of a lot of people's recovery, from what I've
Hmm.
seen, and for my own.
And
Get comfortable
and there is
with
hope.
that.
There is hope,
There is hope,
and there is
and it
options.
truly can change. Absolutely anybody, any person on this planet that is going through that can do this. I
Hmm.
absolutely believe 1000%. Every bit of me believes that. It's just a matter of like, get those people in your life, you
That's
know?
right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, make that decision that it's time for a change. And I don't think that a lot of people that are living in addiction are probably overly happy with where they're at. If you really got them to be honest, they would say that they
Mm.
would like to change. So, yeah, thank you very much, Vanessa. It's great to have a co-student from the recovery coaching. I interviewed Tyler the other day,
Oh,
so I got
nice.
one other on there. So hopefully a few people will watch, and hopefully people will, as a result
Hi,
of
everybody.
us promoting the recovery coaching course and Dr. Baker's course, that we can plug some of that for him. So thank you again very much. Keep
Mm.
up the good work there in Dawson Creek. I know that they are very fortunate to have somebody like you working in that field, and I look forward to hearing back from you in the future as to how things are going. So thank you very much for taking time.
Thanks so much, Glenn.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Have a great day. We'll see you.
Thanks. You
Bye.
too.